Mumuksh, keep adding. I'm not adding anymore. You are going to do that.
You can start.
Ready? It's 8. Shall we start, or you want? Dr. Reddy has another channel going on. So we are going to soon start.
Yeah, we are live to the world, YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangalla Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. First of all, let me greet and salute all those teachers because of whom I am here and because of whom we have wonderful guests, teachers from Jawaharlal Nehru University and the students cutting across this spectrum. What a better way to have this live show in honor of a teacher. Without a teacher, you think this society survives? No, because it is a teacher, education, and then the children, or you say the future prospects, they become wisdom personified with knowledge. So, to impart knowledge, now these days teachers have become multifaceted, wherein they try to alleviate so many stressful conditions to make learning quite comfortable and easy. So I warmly welcome all of you to this special show, and I'm really and eternally thankful to Dr. Sunita Reddy Garu, because of whom I think this show has become a reality. I was just searching for alternatives wherein I wanted to connect people from all walks of life and people who matter, and that too teachers and students who really matter. What a better way to have you on this occasion. Again, I welcome you. Let me just give a side view of what Dr. Sunita Reddy is. She is an anthropologist teaching public health in JNU. She has 20 years of teaching experience. She has contributed substantially in various social science areas of research: disasters, mother child health, gender violence, child rights, tribal health, indigenous medicine, migrant workers, medical tourism, and surrogacy. She has published widely, having 3 books and numerous articles, papers in peer. We do have this technical snacks going on, so just don't get worried. So she is also a founder member of. Yeah. She is also a founder member of a trust, Anthropos India Foundation, which is collaborating with Dr. TSPR channels to beam this live to the world. They are coming up with Springer's book series, People, Societies and Cultures, exploring and documenting diversities. She participated in national debates on surrogacy in NDTV, RSTV, that is Rajya Sabha television, CNN, IBN, Kisan channel, Z Salam, etc., She has many awards in sports and co-curricular activities too, and recently got Women's Empowerment Award in International Women's Day 2029. And what a better way to have Dr. Sunita Reddy as my co-host with so many multifaceted qualities. Welcome to the show, madam. Now I hand it over to you. You kindly host the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy. It's a pleasure to co-host with you. And good evening, everyone. Greetings from JNU and Anthropos India Foundation. I would like to really thank Dr. T. Shivaprasad Reddy for sharing your DRTSPR channel for organizing this panel today. First in the series to be hosted under the aegis of Anthropos India Foundation, Dr. Reddy's independent channel is a platform and space which he generously offered to debate, discuss, and share with the wider audiences about our ideas and perspectives. We will be coming up with discussions on various social issues which matter to all of us, especially related to women and children, as that is our core area of work. It's a pleasure to meet all of you virtually and share some thoughts on this divine relation between teachers and students on this auspicious day. The Teachers' Day is celebrated every year on 5th September to mark the birth anniversary of great teacher and philosopher Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, who was our first Vice President of India from 1952 to 62. This day is observed to honor the bond between the children and their mentors, who influence their lives in several ways. Starting the panel discussion by a few quotes by Dr. Radhakrishnan himself. A life of joy and happiness is possible only on the basis of knowledge and science. Another quote of his: true teachers are those who help us think for ourselves, which means teachers helps in inculcating the inquisitiveness in the minds of children. In this age of internet, Google, and of course WhatsApp University, so much information is available and in abundance. Even then, teachers' role cannot be diminished, as the true teacher is going to show the direction, meaning, knowledge, and guidance for leading a good life. It is important to understand, as Bob Talbot says, teaching kids to count is fine, but teaching what counts is best. In Telugu, there is a phrase, Bratakaleka Badipantulu, meaning if there is no other choice, so choose to become a school teacher. We have to change this notion. As another quote says, if there were no teachers, all other professions would not exist. So you can imagine that all the engineers, doctors, scientists, bureaucrats, astronauts are all because of teachers only. Because teachers teach all the professions. And teaching is more than a job and occupation. It is a vocation where the teacher can touch each soul with compassion, love, and warmth. This panel discussion cannot start without a beautiful quote of none other than great scientist and ex-president of India, Shri APJ Abdul Kalam. Teaching is a very noble profession that shapes the character, caliber, and future of an individual. If the people remember me as a good teacher, that will be a biggest honor for me. With these words, and without taking much time, let me welcome a very vibrant panel of children who are going to share their experiences and expectations from their teachers and what characteristics make favorite teacher. Following them are the teachers who are going to share their views, experiences, and perspectives of being a teacher and the divine relation between the two. Let me start and call upon the youngest participant in the panel today. Aradhya, over to you.
A mind is like a parachute. It does not work if it is not open. Now the question arises, who will open it? Good evening, everyone. I am Aradhya Porwal from class 8th of the Mothers International School. I play squash, I like to do art, make rap songs, write stories and poems, and do many other things. 5th September, or Teachers' Day, as you all know, is celebrated in the commemoration of the great teacher, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. So, according to me, teachers are our saviors when we are falling from the sky. Today, I am going to tell you about my favorite teachers. My utmost favorite teacher is Rupa ma'am, who is my English teacher in school. She is kind and has a good sense of humor. She cracks jokes in the class, which makes everyone laugh their heads off. She explains everything so perfectly that I recollect everything later. I enjoy going to her class. One day, when I got selected for a storytelling competition, Rupa ma'am helped me prepare for it. She practiced with me every day at night for 1 month until I got perfect. I have entered many competitions, but not one teacher helped me like her. There is another teacher whom I like very much. She is Jasmine ma'am, who is my art teacher. Her hand is so fast that she can make anything in no time. She is so gentle and never scolds anyone in the class. She knows everything about art, from oil pastels to pencil shading. She also teaches me folk art like Madhubani painting, Worli art, Kalighat paintings, etc. Because of her training, I have won many art competitions. Now, I would like you to introduce to my squash coach, Ali sir. He has trained me for 5 years and has taught me how to play squash. He is very hardworking and the best squash coach anyone would ever want. We have our squash morning fitness class at 5:30 in the morning. Ali sir reaches there before us every day. A small trick that he teaches us makes a shot perfect. In the afternoon, he plays matches with us and uses many tricks to deceive us. Because of him, I have become India number 5 in under 13 girls. When we do drills in the court, he explains shots so nicely and patiently that we get it right after practicing a few times. And today morning, at our training, Ali sir played singles with me. He used so many tricks that I got confused and lost. I also want to become just like him. And I will never forget Shalini ma'am. She is a chubby cute teacher who teaches me Sanskrit in school. She is caring and hardworking. Like Rupa ma'am, she prepared me for the Gita chanting competition for 15 days every evening. And because of her hard work, we even won this competition. But all teachers are not like Rupa ma'am, Shalini ma'am, Jasmine ma'am, and Ali sir. I'm not saying that all teachers are not good. They are good but not great. The great teachers are supportive, understanding, humorous, and caring. These are some qualities that separate the good from the great. If a teacher supports us, the sky is the limit as they guide us through every step. In the end, I would like to say that all teachers are likable, but some of them come forward as favorites. Thank you everyone for listening, and a very happy Teachers' Day to all my splendid teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aradhya. It was wonderful listening to you and your views about your teacher and what make some teachers your favorite. I'm sure for teachers, it's a very hard work to identify the talent of a child and then hone their skills and encourage them. And that makes a big difference. If the teacher can really identify the talent in each child, and every child is talented in some or the other way. And I think that's the best part of teaching, where you can identify and encourage them and support them. And that requires a lot of hard work. As she said, the teacher is there before her. So that means so much of hard work goes from the teacher to train the children and reach to their aspirations, to fulfill their aspirations. So thank you so much, Aradhya. Let's move to another two girls, sisters, Ayushi and Khushi, who would like to listen to you. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Teachers' Day to all. My name is Khushi Singh. I am in 8th standard of Mount Columbus School, New Delhi. We celebrate Teachers' Day to tribute our teachers. A teacher is a friend and guide of our life who also imparts good values in us. A teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. Most of our teachers are supportive, humble, and sweet. They teach us in a very innovative way and they also understand and respect our views. I am grateful to all my teachers for their love and care. Thanks to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khushi and Ayushi. And thanks for sharing your views about teacher and your expectations from the teachers. Wonderful to listen to you. And I would like to now invite Naina.
Yes. Quote, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Unquote, Benjamin Franklin. Good evening to all present. Today me, Naina Mahal of Class 10 of Springdale School, Pusa Road, will be sharing my experience and observation as a student on this special occasion of Teachers' Day. Teachers of all walks of life and subjects have the ability to shape opinions and help form ideas about society, life, and personal goals. Teachers can also expand students' limits and push their creativity. Teaching is a tough job, but it is the one where you can make the most impact in another person's life. I had a maths teacher in 7th grade who always supported me and always told me that she was proud of me, not because I scored the highest in the class, but because I scored higher than the last time, which truly gave me a new perspective that the only competition you should have is with your own self. I really wasn't interested in maths, nor did I get any good grades in it. But that teacher inspired me to work hard, and in 8th grade, I got regular A plus in maths, for which I would also like to thank my excellent tuition teacher, whose determination to teach is what inspired me to learn. What makes a teacher great is reaching to present difficult content, ideas, debates, issues in a lucid, compelling way, time after time. A great teacher works hard to prepare, to think freshly about the material they are teaching, and to find current examples that will grab their students' interests. She or he elicits her students' best efforts and engages their minds so that when they leave their class still alive with ideas and comments, they talk about what went on in the class with their friends, roommates, and family when they get home too. Of course, teaching is not limited to classroom, and that is the reason we should also be thanking our parents or guardians who were the first teachers of our life, who taught us how to walk on our own legs when we were still babies, to how to live our own life independently. At the end, I would like to thank all the teachers around the world who continue to shape the future of this world, who work hard day and night to inspire students all around the world, even in this difficult situation like COVID pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naina, for wonderful words. And very rightly said that a true teacher will encourage you as your own self rather than comparing with other children. And comparison is definitely not the way to go. And that actually puts off many children because each individual and each child is different and they all have talents. Only you have to improve on your own self. And I really admire that teacher. And thank you so much for sharing your ideas and your views about teachers. I think we missed Ayushi. Ayushi, you would like to say a few words because I was waiting and then I wanted to hear more from you. Please unmute.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Teachers' Day. I am Ayushi Singh. I study in 8th standard of Mount Columbus School, New Delhi. As we are gathered here to celebrate Teachers' Day, I would like to thank every teacher who has been our guiding force during the lockdown. Teachers have not only taught us the new way to learn, but have also motivated us during the lockdown. And I would also like to share that things that I expect from a teacher. I expect that teachers should make the class interesting and fun. They should admit their mistakes and encourage the students to speak up. According to me, a role model teacher is who can build a teacher student relationship, who tries to give every student a chance to speak, share their doubts, and share their story too, which I have noticed in many of my teachers. I'm grateful to have an opportunity that I can speak here, and thank you everyone for listening to my words.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ayushi, for those beautiful words, and also telling the teachers that yes, they have to accept their mistakes if they do, and of course, encourage children. And also the point you made about the pandemic and how teachers are working very hard. And it's true that teachers are preparing their classes, keeping the children motivated from morning till evening or afternoon, and their classes are going on. And at least in some way, children are engaged. Otherwise, it's a big problem for the parents to engage them full time. So, thanks to all the teachers, and thank you, Ayushi. I would like to now call Soumya.
Yeah, hi, I am Soumya and I am from Gurgaon. So, I was actually invited to this event by Miss Pramila, and she was actually my geography teacher when I was in 8th grade. So now I am in 12th grade, and it's been a long time since we have seen each other. So it really meant a lot to me that she reached out to me all this time, and we were talking on the phone, and she said to me that she was very proud of me, and it was a very touching moment for me because it was like we had not even talked in so long, and even then she felt that, oh, I am still proud of you, even if you have not done anything specific. And this is actually how I would like to open up on what I like about teachers. I think that to me, like, this is the most important value that a teacher can have, like basically the quality that they should have. That if teachers are kind and generous and open, then it immediately puts me at ease when I am in the classroom, especially being in 12th when there's a lot of pressure to perform well and to score in the boards and everything. So when my teachers are actually open to hearing my doubts and hearing my fears about what I have to do, then it actually really makes me feel very safe in the classroom, and that is something that I really appreciate. So another thing that I think is very attractive in a sense in a teacher is when they are very confident. I mean, I have a lot of memories of so many teachers that have taught me through the years, and the ones that I remember best are always the ones who are very confident about what they're teaching me, and they know their subject so well. It's like every time I go to class, I'm really excited because I'm like, okay, today I'm going to learn something new that my teacher is going to tell me, and that is a really fun experience. Another thing that I would like to note, this is something that I think is a bit new in our country, like because basically our society doesn't really place a lot of emphasis on mental health. But then of course education is such a thing when you are studying, and especially when you're in your board years, you have a lot of pressure on you. So one thing that I've really appreciated this year, especially in the pandemic, is the teachers who actually, gave some allowances for mental health issues, because I struggle a lot with actually staying motivated and actually getting the energy to do my task. So some of my teachers actually didn't mind extending their deadlines by like 1 day or 2 days, and this is something that I really appreciated. So this is something that I wanted to mention because I think it's really relevant right now in a pandemic. And yeah, that's what I think about teachers. And I'm really grateful to every teacher who has taught me and to every person who decided to be a teacher. It's really inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Soumya, for speaking your mind and sharing your thoughts. Definitely, for a teacher, a bright child or a child who's trying their best, or child who is like working studying makes them proud, and for a teacher, that's the best gift. And very well said that a lot of issues related to pressure on children, especially in the standards of 10th, 11th, 12th. And it's the teacher who can understand better because they have more time with their students. And thankfully, because of pandemic also, a lot of us have realized that we have to be a little more liberal with children in order to perform or complete their assignments. So this understanding of each other's requirements are very important for a child and teacher relationship. Thank you so much, Soumya. Now let's move on to Rena.
Yeah, good evening. Happy Teachers Day. My name is Reina. I'm from Bangalore and I'm in 12th grade at Greenwood High. So I just wanted to speak about the influence that teachers have had on my life and the gratitude that I have for them. So honestly, in my opinion, every teacher that passes through a student's life teaches them a lesson and allows a student to take away something from their teaching. So some qualities that I love about my teachers is that they genuinely want to see me succeed, and they go out of their way to do certain things for me or take time to explain a certain concept to me. So so I also do feel like even if a student has a quote unquote strict teacher, it will still play like a huge role in their academic lives. So for example, I'll share a story of what happened to me in 9th grade. So when I was in 9th grade, I really hated physics. It was my worst subject because I wasn't really the best at it. And I also had a very strict teacher and she was very intimidating to me. So I wasn't really doing well in that subject, and she would constantly call me out, and because she knew I wasn't doing well. So she would make sure I was always paying attention and always ask me questions every class to see if that I was on track. So eventually, after so much pushing, I ended up getting an A+ in my 10th grade boards in physics, which was actually my worst subject. So even though the teacher pushed me and constantly was on to me and make sure I was doing my work, her determination was the reason why I did so well. So I used to always think that strict teachers were terrifying or out to get their students. But that day I realized that all the teacher ever wants to do is help you and support you. And now when I look back and think of her, I don't think of her as mean or scary. I think she was very determined and passionate about her subject, and that was the reason I did so well. So even if my teacher was strict or lenient, they had the same impact on me, and I'm thankful for that because every teacher leaves a long-lasting impression on a student. And I can clearly remember each one of my teachers and what lessons they've taught me, whether it be through their anecdotes or story time telling in class. I've learned valuable life lessons through every single teacher of mine. And I think that's one of my favorite qualities within teachers, their ability to relate to their different concepts of teaching to their life's lessons, which makes the class that more interactive and that more fun for the students. And sometimes I'm also really astonished by how well teachers put up with the students' mischievous side and tolerate all the kinds of behavior that happens in a classroom. And I'm thankful to have had great teachers that have been nothing but kind. So at the end of the day, I think that the relationship between teachers and students is very valuable because every single teacher teaches us, the students, something that they will take with them throughout their life. And that's what I'm grateful for. Happy Teachers Day once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Reina, for really bringing out the value of teachers, especially strict teachers. As children, we may hate them at the moment, but then when you look back, you realize how important those strictness was, and that helped you to gain confidence, improve your grades. And really, as you rightly said, in one or the other way, teachers keep trying to push their children and students to work hard so that they improve in their, not just studies, but I suppose there are a lot of lessons which they want the children to learn in their life. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Now let's move to our young adults who are in college and university. I would like to now call Mumuksh to share his views.
Good evening, everyone. So, first teacher is our mother, and second father is our teacher. Namaskar to everyone. I am Mumuksh Porwal from third year of Bachelor's from Anthropology Department of Delhi University. The quote which I just now quoted was the one which I heard when I was crossing from the corridor of my college. There was a philosophy class going on, and I heard this quote that first teacher is our mother and second father is our teacher. I was just confused that usually we compare our teachers with the mother figure in our life. But this thought enforced me to think that how can I compare my teacher with my second father? In our life, actually, our father takes the back seat to drive us to our destination, and the teachers so do in the same way. From kindergarten, junior school, secondary school, and even to the universities till our complete education, they are the knowingly or unknowingly designing or directing our life destinations. The relation I had with my teacher can be judged by the fact that I'm still in touch with them after a long time of my schooling. So I'll share one of my, like, I used to share so many things with my teachers still from my junior class teachers. The whole year I may be busy in my working hours or my college kind of stuffs, but when I personally call them on a particular day, like Teachers' Day or their birthdays, then the way the sound or in a way they used to talk to me is really directing me that yeah, they are actually feeling so happy from their voice. So these are not my achievements. The way they are responding to my calls, the way they are still talking to me, these are not my achievements. These are their efforts which are coming out from my words today. There are two qualities which I would like to share, which made my relation with my teachers more than the professional relation. Their compassion. The work they do not expect, they did in my life was not just only for me, it was for everyone. The teachers are uh, doing their work without any expectations of return from any of the students. So, this is how compassionate our teachers are. They are the perfect guide and listeners. Yeah, from the craziest stupid science ideas and from the chit chats, they are always ready to listen and guide you for the best. My memory takes me back to one of the incidents when I met to my eighth class teacher, and she was sharing her life incidents with me, the struggle from which she went through. So when she was sharing, she asked me that, "Isn't Momoksh you are getting bored by my talks?" Then I told her that, "Ma'am, when I was in eighth class, at that time you never bored from my stupid talks. Then how can I get bored from your words now? Just because I'm a grown-up child now? No, I'm not bored." In the same way, that is what teacher and student relation is. It is beyond the perception because it is that relation which guided me to hold my pencil to my pen and also enlightened me to write my poems and whatever words I'm getting today with the trembling hands. The relation which gave me encouragement to live my life and always asked me to stand again and walk and run and achieve whenever I felt into the distant pit, whatever was there. So, thank you so much to all the teachers for being there with me throughout my whole life till now. And also, I welcome to all the teachers who are waiting or I'm waiting for them to be in my life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mumuksh. Really wonderful to listen to you and how it is so important for teachers to have compassion for their students, which makes really a lot of difference in their lives, and how you respect and revere your teachers who have honed your skills, especially all the creative skills which you have. And further, I mean, it helps to grow as an individual, as an independent, and develop an identity of your own. So thank you so much. And I now welcome our last student participant, Ananya.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible? Everything is okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, a very warm welcome to everyone present. I'm Ananya. I'm a final year undergraduate student of sociology at Hindu College, Delhi University, and an intern at Anthropos India Foundation. I'm grateful for being part of this event, and it gives me immense pleasure to share the space with such beautiful panelists. Given this opportunity, I would like to use this platform to share how my professors and teachers have shaped me as an individual, along with providing me a framework for my future academic ventures. I remember sitting in an interview where I was asked to put forth my own opinion of how an academic discussion should take place. Coming out of a CBSE pattern of examination where there was only one single correct answer, each fetching you 1 mark, it was difficult for me to understand the importance of my own interpretations. Being part of the sociology department where students from all across the country engaged with rigorous academic discussions, I slowly and gradually explored who I wanted to be as an individual. But all this wouldn't have taken place without my professors. By simply ending their lectures with the question, "Do you have anything to add?" or constantly providing us with the opportunity to put forth our opinions, however uninformed it might be, they encourage the practice of independent and critical thinking. The respect and trust that I received from my professors served as the cornerstone, as it provided the foundation of the interaction that took place with my peers. Over the years, I've learned that questions are as important as answers. That restricting yourself to one correct interpretation is like letting go of the pleasure experienced through conundrums existing in liminality. That every single color is an amalgamation of others, and that the beauty lies in the confluence of viewpoints. The process of continuous learning has allowed me to identify, acknowledge, and appreciate the diversity. Establishing an equal relationship with my professors was central in demonstrating how contesting views could coexist, given that we hold on to the value of dignity and mutual respect, and that mistakes are the most beautiful checkpoints in the journey of learning. One simple instance from my life. We were asked to select a topic for a sociological research. I ended up looking for everything that the examiner would appreciate. But the constant question from my professor of what I wanted to be, how I defined myself, was central in bringing me closer to the issues that shaped my lived realities. It was because of her that I was able to convert my personal experience of separation of my parents into my first academic research project on religious disparities in divorce rates. She helped me shape my academic ventures for the futures. So this Teacher Day, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the professors who helped me instill the value of empathy. With thousands more books to be read, with plethora of discussions to be engaged with, I hope we move ahead in the direction of inclusivity, where beauty of each opinion is appreciated. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ananya, for sharing your thoughts and especially taking on your personal life situations and converting that into an academic discourse and learning, especially into research. And I'm sure your teachers are very proud of you, and as I am, because you've been part of our foundation and been working so well. And all Momoksh, Ananya, Gunjan, they've been like my extended arms where if I think of something and things happen, because that's the teamwork. And I'm sure all your teachers are proud of you. And this I want to share with all of you, all the students who have shared their views about their teachers and named some of them. I'm sure they must be very proud to have you as their students. And with these words, I would like to now go on with our teachers and share their experiences, because the idea was to put our students first, because that will help us to know exactly what the students are expecting from us as teachers, which will also help us to improve our own skills, our own understanding of what child wants or children wants, especially when you have this much of information all around the world, and it's not really the content which they generally get from any other source. But as a teacher, how can you touch, or how can you guide a child into their life? I think those are the lessons which we have heard just now from our students and children, and that those are very valuable lessons for all of us. I would now like to invite Dr. Pramila Pandit to start with her sharing of being a teacher.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Pramila, and I'm honored to be here today. And I have had the experience of being an educator from past 18 years, and I've been teaching across IGCSE, IB curriculum, and I also have been, I've had an opportunity to be a Montessori graduate from American Montessori Society. So here today, I would like to highlight that I work in an urban setting and how connecting with urban children, how important is that? So first of all, when we look at the topic itself, connecting with urban children, the connection word itself gives us a cue that the connection between the teacher and children, the student, is so important that when we, before delivering the curriculum, we walk into the classroom, it is important to bond with the children because then the child feels secure with the teacher and is able to express themselves in a better way. And it is also important to see the needs of the children are fulfilled before we start teaching. So it becomes kind of a role of a mom for some time, and also to bond. The connection helps us to bond with the children. So after connecting, second point I would like to highlight is acceptance. Because we work in an urban setting and we have the children all across the globe, and there's diverse religions, diverse global students in the classrooms. So it becomes another aspect, a vital role of the teacher to accept that diversity, to accept the different religions, to accept the different students from different background, and give them that respect in the classroom, and also teach the students to have the acceptance at the same time of the diversity. Because sometimes we do notice that the students get bullied because they belong to some different culture or they're coming from some other background. So it becomes the role of the teacher to inculcate and to push the children to understand and give respect to the diverse students in the classroom. Also, I would like to highlight that the pace of life in the urban setting is so fast that both the parents are working, and sometimes the parents also forget, they pay this huge amount of money for the private schools, and they start believing that they should not, their duty is done, or because of the busyness, and also both parent working as well as the single parent setting that we have. So the spending of time with the children, their own children, becomes less, and they leave these children in the school, and after school also daycare runs. So these children spend quite a lot of huge amount of time in the school. So it becomes a very important role for the teacher, where the teacher has to be a role model by her behavior, by her every minute teacher students are observing. So it becomes very, very important for the teacher. We also have to understand that in the classroom setting, when we are connecting with the children, we have to be mindful as a teacher of the students, each student's needs, so that we understand that we as a teacher, that if there is a student that is a special needs student, and even parents sometimes do not understand, they are not aware, or they have not observed consciously that their child. So it becomes a role of the teacher to bring that up to before we even start teaching the curriculum. So this is one of the acceptance. And about acceptance, one more point I would like to highlight, that as we are in the digital era, and we are all the students have information through Instagram, through Google, through digital platform. So when we are trying to deliver any knowledge in the classroom, the students many times they are way ahead, and they come up with answers before even we start teaching. So it is best for the teacher to leave the ego outside the classroom and be mindful and be compassionate enough to understand each child, and take that knowledge and welcome that knowledge in the classroom and share it with other students in a very positive manner. I would also like to say, highlight one more thing here, that when we talk about the time in the urban setting, we also see that as the parents are not able to spend time and they work, most of the parents work in the corporate settings, and they do, working in that corporate setting, they do become, they get that corporate mindset, and they do bring that competition mind level thinking to their homes. And once the child is home, they when they see child demanding time, they start thinking that the child is hyperactive and the child needs some classes or more engagement after school, and they end up putting this child, and they see, oh, my friend's son is in this class and this after school activity, we should also put our child in this activity. And it ends up that the child has physical burnout, and the child comes home and the parents starts thinking, oh, they slept in the car, while driving, and they were so busy whole day, and we are doing wonderful job, they start believing. But in the long process, what happens that the child is literally physically burned out, and by the time child is in 8th grade or 9th grade, or even it's a lifelong process, by the time child grows into an adult, they end up having those moments of anxiety, and no matter what, the reason is unknown for the parents. So parents keep thinking, what happened? We gave our best in the school, we gave our best through the activities, why is our child not there? Still they keep comparing. So it is one of the very much into the urban cultures where a parent needs to understand and connect and bond. Equally the teacher needs to, but it is important for the parent also equally to spend time with their children. I would also like to bring to notice that in India, Delhi is one of the urban metropolitan, and it has the highest suicide rate, which I believe is because of this. There is some lag that we all are kind of on a failure, which we lag somewhere, that being the teachers or being the parents, no matter how expensive education, how much amount we pay for the schools, but there is something where we are not doing something, where somewhere we are going wrong. So this is very important point, and I somehow feel that as a society and as we are growing up, and we keep believing that we are doing the best, but we do without reflecting or without introspecting. So somewhere I feel that the parents and the teachers should take out that time, maybe close their eyes for some time and try to introspect on the point that where are we going wrong. And above all, I would also like to add that in urban settings, I really sometimes wonder, are our students safe enough? The safety is one of the concerns that I always feel. But yeah, the schools are safe, but still, the safety issues one of the things that as a teacher always kind of bothers me. And I think these are the couple of points I always, I have gotten to with my experience of teaching. In the end, towards end, I would like to give a small message. Let them explore, don't burden them. Their curiosities should not be labeled. Don't judge them at every step. Be that angelic divine that helps them transform from the caterpillar to butterfly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pramila. Wonderful words, and there's so much to learn from each of you. And very well said that the first instant is to connect to the child, each individual child. So it becomes very difficult with big classrooms, but I'm sure teachers, if they try, they can connect to many of them. In fact, I think anthropological training of observation brought you to this point where you could really see a child not just as a child in the classroom, but looking at the child in his family setup and trying to understand the context from which the child is coming or the family from which the child is coming. and trying to help out each child. There are lots of issues related to parenting, and definitely a country like India, there's so much of social pressures on families and especially on parents, which further percolates down to the child, to fulfill those so-called valuable positions or posts, and comparing each other, comparing the children, and then trying to bring the best out of one's child. But the point is how much a child can take on and how much their interests are. So it's always important to understand the child's needs first, their interests, their passions, and then support them. And in order to also fulfill these issues, because we've been working with children, we are planning to come out with a digital magazine called Childhood Matters. And as we know, each child is important, and bringing out a lot of issues related to children, and then information related to safety also. And you have rightly pointed out, children are not safe, more so in urban setup compared to rural areas. And I think these are a few lessons which we can take on from each of you, your deliberations today, and work towards it. So thank you so much, Dr. Pramila. And I'll move on to Kavita Tang. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really privileged to be here and being talking to all of you. And as Sunita has already mentioned, that I am a teacher who connects to my kids with heart. I've always, from day one, the day I became teacher, I have always tried to be a mother, a school mother to them. And that's the reason I think I can connect to my children through heart. I've been teaching in Bishop Cotton's from last 14 years. And it's been a privilege to connect to all my little chutkis, I can say, because I've been teaching them at 3rd and 4th level. It's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to teach them and make a difference in their life. As Mrs. Pramila said, we get caterpillars and we see them transform into butterflies. And that's the award for a teacher. That's what we actually look forward for. Today, I heard all the students talk about their teachers, and I would like to tell them that there are teachers whom you like because there is a kind of chemistry between you and the teacher. It's always your teacher has a favorite student in the class, whereas student also has a favorite teacher. And we teachers, we always strive to be best for each one of you. The thing is, there are times when we are strict. There are times for some, we are very soft. But when we are strict to change them. And also, I have always tried to inculcate in children to be rooted. Root is what is very important. You have to be rooted, children. Once you are rooted, you are strong. Nothing can change you. Believe me. We teachers are always striving to get this best out of you. And I think that is what I'm doing at this level, where my small kids are connected to me. Once I walk into the class, they see a second mother. And since they spend more time with us, and especially when we were in school, 8 hours to be under my umbrella made a lot of difference. I used to be their friend, like a mentor, like a confidant, everything. And that's the connection I used to get with my children, my girls, right now. Since we are online, we are teaching online, I still feel that I've created that connection. I still give them that confidence that you are under my umbrella, you are safe, you can open up, I am approachable, you can talk to me anytime. So I think I, as a teacher, I'm trying my best, trying my best to give back to the society through these girls. And I hope I'll make a difference one day. It'll be a great feeling that today when I celebrate this Teachers' Day, and many of my students who have left the school, they still remember me. They celebrate this day. But I would love to live for that day when my students, after many years, they still celebrate my virtues, my values, which I have instilled in them. Thank you all, and a very happy Teachers' Day to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kavita, for touching upon the lives of young girls, and so important, as you said, the word itself, chutki, is full of love. And the way to connect to your young kids as second mother or school mother, and instilling compassion, love, and also opening up for them to share whatever they feel, rather than fear as a teacher. I think it's very, very important. And you are already making a difference. So in each child's memory and life, once they go back and they grow up as adults, and then they again connect back to you, remembering the school teachers. So all of us have our own favorite teachers, very vivid in our minds. So that's what is the connection between the teacher and the child.
As Pramila ma'am had already touched a lot of topics which I already wanted to say, but right now it was really something from my heart which I wanted to share with all of you. I feel privileged to have this power to empower through education, to bring this empowerment. So I really respect all the teachers, for I know what we do, what sacrifice we do for bringing out all these professions from the girls and boys, right? From the students. So thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kavita.
Thank you, Sunita.
Very well brought out. Connecting teachers and students is a divine connection, as I had titled it, and it comes out to be so true. And thank you so much for sharing. I would like to invite Rosama. Over to you.
Thank you, Sunita and Dr. Reddy and everyone else for having me here. It is truly my privilege to be here. And I had not really envisaged it to be like this. It was really brilliant to hear the children speaking so passionately about what they expect from a teacher, and it is so true. Some of it really was really touching my heart as they were speaking. To introduce myself, I started my career 25 years back as a teacher. I soon realized some of the issues that exist in the education system, and I thought if I become a school head, I'll probably able to change a few of it. So I quickly became a school head, and I headed a few schools. In my last assignment, I was a founding principal of an international school. And in doing all these things, I got to understand children from different stratas of society and different segments of our society. I also got to work with a lot of different kinds of curriculums, and all of that gave me an understanding that there is a lot that an individual cannot do in the system. But I wanted to go deeply into developing people, and psychology was my calling. So I went on to become a life coach, and I've been a life coach for the past 9 years. And every time I come across a client of mine, I see their problems originated in their childhood when they were really small. And like Pramila mentioned, parents have exceeding amount of expectations from children because they operate from a space of fear that what if my child doesn't make it, and what if I am branded a parent who was not successful in raising a child. And when this fear gets so much, they are ridden by this fear, they try to do everything possible, like put this child in this class and that class, and they forget that a child is like a plant. And just like you can't make a plant to grow faster than it is naturally supposed to grow, you have to see that the plant's environment is conducive for the plant to grow. The same thing is with the child. Every single child, like Pramila mentioned, Kavita mentioned, and a few children mentioned, is unique. And I heard some really wonderful things Kavita and Pramila mentioned that they do as teachers. But I must say, this is not mainstream in our country. And a lot of damage I know originates from home, and that's a highly unregulated segment of our society because people get married at different times for different reasons from different segments of the society, and they decide to have children, not really decide to have children, but sometimes children happen and they're not really prepared to be parents. They don't know what parenting is, and it is really not possible to manage that segment of our society. So the onus of that whole regulation falls on teachers of our country, and it's a huge responsibility. And Kavita, I know, being from the classes that she operates in, it is a hugely responsible position that she's in, where children, whatever they learn or they're impacted by, or they understand or don't understand, that goes on to become the pillars which are shaky in their life forever. It is not knowledge that makes us successful. It is how an individual can use the knowledge that makes them successful. And that's a major segment of our understanding that we miss out. So in our enthusiasm to finish the syllabus and make them do a lot of exercises, we have created this huge factory model of teaching in our school. And if you look at this one program on Netflix called Quota Factory, you will get a slight understanding of what is happening in our education system with our children. In our enthusiasm for them to get this particular job, which has this kind of salary structure, we are forgetting who the child is and what the child wants to be and how the child can be brilliant and what is the brilliance that we can bring out from a child, And children grow up as adults into such shallow, disconnected, unseen, unheard, unacknowledged, full of shame and guilt kind of individuals that they just don't live well. They just survive. And that whole thing of shifting them from survival to thrive is such a huge process for a counselor or a life coach. And if only this was handled well when they were small kids, their lives would have flourished. Such a simple thing. And because our school system has become such a factory model of operations, that this whole segment of mental health workers have come about in our country. And mental health, again, is another unregulated, not so well managed segment in our country. And I feel that's becoming another factory model of things. So somewhere it's important that all of us who feel that something good needs to be done in this segment, we come together. And like Sunita keeps saying, we have to push for change. We have to talk about it. We have to make it mainstream. Just like how physical health, like going to a gym, was so not a regular thing 10 years back. Today, people have started speaking about mental health, and that's so important. We make it mainstream. Just like going to a gym is such a normal thing, we have to make mental health a normal thing. Thank you. That's what I wanted to mention in this regard. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rosamma. Very wonderful thoughts about realizing the importance of a child and mending at the initial stages and not having too much of expectations, especially when you look at each child as an individual with their own aspirations and choices, what they want to make. And we have seen that in COVID situation, really money and power and status have not really helped many of us. It's the self-fulfillment, the contentment, which is important. I think that's what we all have to really learn to appreciate what we have, be contentful and happy, rather than chasing certain things which are not reachable. And many children are, in fact, to tell the truth, that many children are marginalized and they don't even have any of our privileges which all of us have. And Corona and pandemic has really brought out this digital divide where children are not in a position to go to any school. Schools have been closed, but very few children are ones who are connected online. Again, it has its own problems. So we need to really understand children, the diversity of children, and we know there are like children having different kinds of experiences, and that's where the role of teacher comes in very squarely to address each child's needs and then bring out what the child can, rather than pushing them around and expecting too many things and putting burden not just on children. It's a burden for parents also, because their expectations are beyond the child can deliver. I think that's another important point which you raised very well. And bringing in mental health as an issue, which now we have started talking about, because generally mental health is related to insanity, and then people don't want to talk about it. But each and every day when you are feeling little low or depressed, these are the things which needs to be talked about, so that there's no stigma attached to it, there's no discrimination with people who are not able to cope up, but there's more of a support system by the teachers, by mental health experts, and that has also brought out very well during the pandemic. Thank you so much, Rosama, for bringing those very important points. I would like to now invite Mary.
Thank you so much for giving the space. And my focus of the area, I'll be looking at mentoring teachers, how it is very important. As Rose said, how hollow the system, factory models. So the country is so huge, and it's so important. The teachers play a very important role in the lives of every human being. After the parents look for the survival needs, but the teachers really look for the thriving needs, growing needs. So I've been kind of very passionate about working with the teachers, mentoring them across diverse spectrum, from a kind of an ordinary teacher, housewife who's not trained in the local communities in the village, to the high-end teachers in CBSE schools. So that's been my journey, and the purpose is, like, every teacher is a learner, and every teacher should be a continuous learner. So how we have students is we have to touch the lives of the children unless teacher being empowered. So very beautifully Kavita said that I feel the power to empower the lives, right? So I always believed from my social work discipline, I have psychology, social work, and public health, all three interdisciplinary perspectives. Teaching is a very powerful tool for social change, and every person went back to all my memories, how kind of we have been worked, and I made a small slideshow. Let me take you through, and it shows the summary of all the qualities of what the teachers and all that. So in the form of a photo presentation. Can you see my presentation? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so we just had a celebration, virtual celebration with the children. I'll talk about that also, how we, in the COVID, we brought the teachers and students community. As Rose said, the mental health issue was very, very vigorous, as Sunita ma'am also said, due to lockdown and sudden closures of the school. So we made an attempt to bring the teachers and student community together every Wednesday from 4 o'clock to 5:30. So we started last year and it continued, and today the children who were part of that community came to celebrate with us. It's called Creative Learning Hub. So virtual community, being connected with children, being connected with peer teachers, co-teachers. So before that, we used to go, the IGNIS team, we started the journey of promoting purposeful learning, especially addressing the needs of the vulnerable communities, the children whose parents are not much educated, but hoping this education will uplift them or help them to break out the cycle of the poverty. So we started targeting those kind of children and working along with the school leaders. So we used to travel a lot, and our journey started in Khammam, in a small village called Banapuram. And that time, 2009, 2010, so with all the passion as JNUites, we both were in JNU, the founders together. And we saw this kind of why bottom-up approach, why we need to go back to grassroots to create some good models, right? So that's how we started journeying and understood like why many children in the farmers community or like the first generation learners, are they able to go forward for higher education or getting dropped off? What are the core reasons? So we took the two major areas, working with life skills and English. So these were the two areas which the children were lagging behind when they could not go, as well as other stereotypes in the village communities. Girls cannot move forward, so they have to be married early. So now the scenario is very different after 8 to 10 years of hard work in that village. So after 7 generations in tribal communities like Lambada or marginalized communities, we could see the first engineers, first doctors, first teachers. So that's because of the gift of education. So when we strongly believe education is a tool to empower many lives, it is true, and that is what every teacher need to believe. So these are some of the works that we have done at the bottom. So every teacher is a source of an inspiration in the life of a child, and if they are creative, can kind of bring the creativity in many children, igniting the true latent potential. So many children, like it's not like, as you said, the factory model, breaking away the competitive structures to collaborative model, bringing that latent potential inner thinking process is a core responsibility of a teacher. And definitely the compassion and love. All the children, every child spoke here today in the panel mentioned about the love and compassion, what they enjoy from their teachers. So the children created their own, it's a kind of 100 orphan children study in the school in Kurnool region. And they gifted to the teacher. She's one of our mentors. Reaching the unreached, very important, because reaching the unreached, many children at the bottom, still in, if you say 95,000 schools in India are single teacher schools. So the country is not developed at all. So we have a lot of responsibility to take it, and the teachers play a very key role. Together we are stronger. Individual teachers, individual mentors can also, together we are stronger. Circle of learning coming for reflection all the time together. Because in many schools, if you see that, there's a hierarchy, the teachers who are in the pre-primary will not connect to the high school teachers think they are very superior. So they're always how to break those kind of things and bring equalized learning process. And how it is important, that we are a network and we are interdependent. Believing that inner confidence in the teachers, nurturing that as we can do things, inspiring each other. Yeah. So we do all kinds of creative things to bring this innovative learning. So the flexible and activity. She was one of my mentors who this photo was taken in 2012-13. So many schools in Hyderabad locality, if you see, it's like a matchbox schools. This is the only space they have, like a playground. Many children are deprived, and how the teachers can be flexible and adaptable and use the existing sources available and still keep that happy learning possible. Yeah. And so always when we think, teachers think I'm possible, we can bring that. Otherwise, impossible definitely doesn't take us forward. And giving that inner confidence and spirit is part of our mentoring process. Reviving folk arts for creative learning. So these are different mediums. Like when we go to work in villages and all, we don't have many resources or technology. So we keep on exploring how to integrate art, puppetry, storytelling, theater. So the joy of learning together and making see the purpose. Yeah, so this is one of the important things that we have worked with around 17 villages, playback these stories. So we train the teachers communities what is playback. So it is not a very informal theater where there is no drama, nothing. So it is like listening to the real life stories of children and teachers playback. And that became a very strong empathetic tool, bonding between the teachers and children. So feeling the power of smile, the teacher's personality, like how much ever you stressed out, how much ever you're in trouble when you enter in the school classroom space, you connect with the child with a smile. So this is what I said. So we also practice shadow theater with children and teachers. So all these things, tools we kept. So these are all part of last 10 years of hard work, discovering the tools, what can bring difference without being too costly, without being, very complicated, how to make it very simple and innovative, and continuously build a culture of collaborating and co-creating. Yeah. So acknowledging that, the children and teachers, awesome and handsome, together joining. So it's not like having a division, break the power and say that we are here to purposefully to connect with you, learn with you, empower with you. We also learn a lot along with you. innovate with any tool to make the learning interesting, reflective, being a reflective teachers. So these are the journey which I would like to share, and these are all very simple schools, which is most of the schools are in even asbestos shed, or when we go to villages of Telangana, they're not very great. But if you see the smiles of these teachers, they all become so inspirational, empowering one teacher's life. She will kind of generation after generation she empowers. That's a core belief. I always take it as a mentor when I counsel, when I guide. So that's a small presentation I made for all of you. So what I would like to share here is like, a teacher needs to be a continuous learner. A teacher's job is not that simple. She also goes through a lot of stress. I've seen, like, we did a listening with purpose last COVID, 50 to 60 teachers. We listen 1 hour listening. We made a small study. We should see how much they are kind of stressful, but still they were multitasking, like, somehow they have to reach the students. So they were all using, most of our teachers community were using only, they had the phone, that's it. And they went and purchased the phone and to connect with the children. Otherwise they were going so depressed, and suddenly a loss, how to cope up. So there should be a network, and we have designed something called Teachers Commune, so which is really started only like last month. So building a virtual teachers commune where we can come together, where we can explore together, learn together, support each other, mentor each other. So there is no kind of, I'm a PhD doctorate or I'm an ordinary teacher. So bringing as a common purpose together. So that is one virtual commune we have been building. And also we are designing something called progressive teachers leadership, skills. So understanding the society, understanding it. I was feeling so proud when Kavita and other teachers here in the panel was discussing about how are you working with the urban poor communities. So that sensitivity or that interdisciplinary perspective, many teachers are lagging behind. So how to bring that? Sunita ma'am, I would like to have more discussion with you in that regard. So that's very, very essential and core. It's not like, my job is only curriculum designing, giving them marks, pass or fail. So what we need to do, the child, you're building a world, a micro world in the child's life, and how you can empower the child by empowering yourself and connecting to bring a bigger change for a constructive society. So I thank you for the space. Thank you for listening. Hope we are connected for purpose all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. It was wonderful listening to you and the work you're doing for the past decade with Ignis, and a wonderful way of connecting to teachers across the rural belts, especially in Andhra, trying to mentor the teachers and very participative where you're empowering teachers so that they empower their other children. And this is such an important tool which you have worked out. I have seen the modules which they have prepared. They're very, very, very interactive, very having a lot of illustrations, easy to understand, especially the life skill modules which they have for the young girls and boys. I think developing confidence in children at that age really helps them to grow as a very confident individuals. So I'm sure we are all going to be together and do some more meaningful things which we can in our lives and for the betterment of the children.
I just want to add one. So the model which we created in the village, we brought to the city, Hyderabad city, mapped all the migrant communities and where they are sending and spending a lot of money in school, where it just becomes purposeless. So we started molding as a school capacity building program, and that's how our journey started with very, very, something like, we took it as a challenge as a couple and we started the journey. And since then we worked with more than 900 schools across 9 states now. So COVID, what happened, the crisis. So the journey did not stop, it will continue. And I'm sure all these purposeful connection will take us forward for me.
Definitely. And especially when we understand that there is so much of diversity, even in the schools, there are many schools with one teacher, resources, there are hardly any resources, and yet coming up with such innovative methods of having minimum of resources, but yet teaching continues and good teaching continues. I think these are very important lessons from Ignis, and we'll be connected definitely. Thank you so much, Mary. I would like to now request Samna Madhuri to share her views as a teacher teaching in a college.
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to listen to you all and to share my experience working here as an assistant professor in Paschim Mednipur, which is basically a rural area. I am going to repeat a lot of things that you all have said. But I think that the only difference would be that I would be bringing in a lot of personal experience to substantiate the same. So the world that lies beyond my window is indeed very different and diverse, right? And I realized this for the nth time when I started working here in Paschim Mednipur, in the rural belt of Bengal, as an assistant professor in the Department of English. So my stint at JNU as a student took me far from the land I grew up in. Working as a teacher for for a lot of reputed institutions in Delhi, I always dreamt that I would get an opportunity to teach a class of interested first generation learners who came from underprivileged sections of the society and work for the state whose robust public education system nurtured me and honed my academic abilities as a youngster. And of course, I wanted to work for my home, my Bengal. So this long cherished dream finally materialized in 2021. On a humorous note, I would also like to add that I was sick and tired of reading ACC scripts, year after year, that told me and my colleagues that Google would do a better job than us and would definitely be more less demanding, right? So maybe that pushed me to look for a change. But nonetheless, digressions aside, so in January 2021, I was ecstatic. I packed my bags with great joy, despite the warnings of various kinds conveyed by my well-wishers about the state of stagnancy and petty politics that have marred the education system of small towns in the past few decades. I moved here and I hardly got time to acquaint myself with the rules of the new world that the pandemic hit and the lockdown was announced. And suddenly, everything that was ordinary suddenly transformed into extraordinary and unknown. So, for the first few months, no one had a clue about the immediate fate of education here. The teachers of my department nonetheless got together and we decided that we would keep in touch with the students on WhatsApp till official orders came by and communicate with them on a regular basis. I reluctantly agreed. But to be true, I felt this was bizarre. And I thought that definitely we could do better. For me, WhatsApp groups for teaching learning was the worst band-aid remedy ever. No order, no record, no checks, no balances. So I called a few friends, did some research, and decided to use Google Classroom and informed the students about the same. But it was their replies that dragged me down from the high castles of privilege. Most of my students never heard of Gmail. A good number of them did not have smartphones. Some of them who had smartphones did not have internet connection. And a few girls who had smartphones and steady internet connection confided that their family members would rather give the lone phone to their male sibling because education was more important for their brothers. Some complained that their family would not give them phone for personal use because apparently girls who get easy access to phones take easy opportunities to get into romantic relationships and grow up or become runaway brides. So while my friends debated about digital divide and wrote about boycotting online education in reputed newspapers and web portals, I shamelessly carried on my feeble attempts because my worries were completely different. I was afraid that my students would forget English if we did not keep in touch. So my students, some of them appreciated my efforts, but some told me frankly that during the potato harvest season, my demands were absolutely unreasonable. They had to be in the farms in the morning because their families could not afford an extra farm labor, and in the evenings, they were too tired to make sense of my ramblings. A lot of my female students were distressed because of the sudden rise of marriages in their communities during the lockdown. Because, as we all know, eligible bachelors came home from cities, and all the parents wanted to, get their daughters married off as soon as possible, especially in rural areas around here. Most of the times they called and cried, and we cried together because there was nothing much that we could do. But thankfully, life always is not grim. The harrowing past year taught us that we must be optimistic and we must put in consistent efforts to bring change. To be true, in the past year, I have been more of a student and less of a teacher. Our journey together has not been long. I and they, we became we in a year's time, and we didn't even realize. And my students taught me that one has to be conversant in local language if we have to bond and if we are striving to change the ways of the world for good here. In Tennyson's words, I quote, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield must be our guiding motto. We learned how to make online teaching more inclusive through sharing offline, by meeting each other if possible, and by tirelessly using the trial and error method and constantly upgrading ourselves. In the course of the past year, despite the ups and downs, the challenges that we faced, we wrote a bilingual play together, lampooning the online teaching learning based on real life experiences. That was broadcast on Vidyasagar University FM. We collaborated and did a cultural event online, activated the Women's Cell, and most importantly, my students' steady acquaintance with the nuances of the virtual world gave us an opportunity to kind of ensure that they meet some amazing women teachers who opened important discussions on gender sensitization, women's rights, and the problems of early marriages. These conversations, I believe, were very important, and we need to have them because I live in a place where child marriage is rampant. And we all believe that education is the only ray of hope that can transform the lives of children and especially girls here. Because I believe that, a lot of studies have also pointed out that girls with secondary and higher education have much lower chances of early marriage as compared to girls who are not literate. So I hope and pray that the consistent efforts of teachers, students, and state government schemes like Kanyashri, Oikoshri, and other merit-based scholarships will help to pave a better way forward for students living in rural Bengal. I would like to conclude by saying that from the window of high castles of privilege, it is impossible to make sense of the colors of flowers that are uncared for and are wilting because of the cruel heat and unfriendly weather. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madhuri. It was really very important, the issues which you have raised, looking at the urban and rural divide and really touching upon the girls from rural areas. We really appreciate your move from urban to rural, which not many of us would take, to go back to the rural areas and struggle and strive and also teach young girls, and especially so trying to understand their own problems while they are working in the fields, and at the same time trying to learn and make sense of their lives and want to achieve. And you rightly pointed out, during pandemic, the child marriages went up quite a bit, even though otherwise also there are quite a bit, especially when you look at states like West Bengal, even Andhra Pradesh, there are child marriages happening in the rural belt. And I think taking education there and having a very inclusive teaching, and especially empathy towards these children, will really make a lot of difference in their lives. So thank you so much for touching upon and also trying to bring the challenges which the rural girls face to achieve the education, which it's a privilege for urban children, especially children with a lot of privileges. So thank you so much, Madhuri, for those wonderful and very important points. Now I would like to invite Dr. Goite.
Everyone. It's been really nice to listen to all of you, and I think I don't need to say anything much after listening to all of you, and with such a dedication and experience, you all shared your view as a teacher. So first of all, I'll just introduce myself. I am a colleague of Dr. Reddy. I also begin my journey as a teacher in 2005 when I joined Delhi School of Social Work as an assistant professor. And prior to that, I don't have any such teaching experience either in school or colleges. So I was fortunate enough to join directly to teach the master's level. So no much experience with working with school children and also at students at the graduation level. And in 2016, I joined JNU as an associate professor in the Center of Social Medicine and Community Health. And since then, again, been engaged in a very intensive research, more of a research, and then teaching the MPhil and the PhD students. So my engagement in the field of education has always been in the higher educations. And today, my dear colleague and a very dear friend, Dr. Reddy, has given me this opportunity to speak on inclusive education. So I think all of you have in fact highlighted the kind of barriers and the kind of difficulty which students in the rural areas face in terms of access to education, or not only students, even in teachers in this time of pandemic, because neither the government, neither the students nor the teacher were prepared for this kind of learning mode. So now when we all were engaged in the online mode, even from the primary to the higher education level, so it was such a challenging time. And then when we talk about inclusive education, so we see that even in those times, the marginalized or the vulnerable, they become further marginalized and vulnerable because of non-accessibility to technology. And we all are aware that inclusive education is all about bringing all students together in one classroom or in one community, regardless of their strength or weaknesses in any area, and seeks to maximize the potential of all students. So it is, in a way, one of the most effective ways in which to promote an inclusive and tolerant society. And just bringing back to how this has started in terms of the policies or the act, like the Indian government first, I think in 1974, launched this integrated education for disabled children. So this was the first formal step towards inclusion. And in fact, the National Education Policy, 1986, it also recommended inclusive education as a goal to integrate the handicapped and the general community at all levels as equal partners, to prepare them for normal growth and to enable them to face life with courage and confidence. And the latest policy which we have is the National Education Policy 2020, which has conveyed the structural change in the education system. So we all discuss prior to my talk, the panelists, you all have discussed about the ground realities. And here the policy saying that there has to be a structural change in the education system and need to recognize the importance of equitable and inclusive education. And I think for the first time, the education policy is designed to avoid segregation and isolation of ethnic and linguistic minorities, also female and transgender children, those with disabilities, and also those who face learning difficulties due to language barriers, or maybe who are at risk of educational exclusion because of poverty or caste, gender discrimination, and all those. So, if we look at the statistics which has been given by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development in 2009, it says that 8 million children are out of school in India, and 80% of Indian population lives in rural areas without provision for special schools. So leave aside the rural area. If we look at studies, even in Delhi, when we talk about inclusive education, most of the teachers are not trained, and they are not sensitized even to handle children with disabilities. Besides, there is no support infrastructure in the schools. So the question today, which I wanted to, raise, or we can discuss, that what are the needs and challenges for achieving the goal of inclusive education? How will an inclusive environment meet the need of children with disabilities? Or let's say, how quality education can be effectively and efficiently delivered for all children? So what I see from my being engaged in teaching and in policy making and research, inclusive schools, colleges, and universities have to address the needs of all children in every community. And the central and state government have to manage inclusive classrooms and infrastructure. So you see the stakeholders here, the head of the institution, the role of leadership, political willingness, and then the role of the teachers and parents and policymakers. So this institutional head is very important when it comes to implementing successful inclusive education. Like at the university level, we have Equal Opportunity Cell, which looks into any kind of, let's say, discrimination or barriers in access to learning or in the in the university environment. So this kind of opportunity cell, which comes from the directives of the UGC. So similarly, we have at the colleges and at the schools level also. So these leaders are the head of the institutions are the one who are supposed to implement the policy and the programs to make it effective. So teachers, as we all have discussed, how important is the role of the teachers. They have to be exposed to orientation programs or seminars and workshops to sensitize them about the negative impact which a labeling or a negative towards a child can have on their personality development. So these are some of the stakeholders which I feel where plays a very important role, and all of us also have a very important role to play in making inclusive education a reality. So I think with this, and in terms of the act or legislation also, there is, when we look at the ground reality in India, there is lack of clarity in the current laws. Like, for example, the Right of Person with Disabilities Act 2016, right? And then in that, it does not clearly specify norms and standards on like inclusive education, maybe in terms of the individualized support or full inclusion which a child with disability should be receiving. So there is a lack of harmonization between the main legislations that govern inclusive education in India. So I feel that as long as the focus of the law remains on access to education and not access to quality of education, all it is doing is paying lip service to the concept of inclusive education. So I think all of us have a very important role to play in bringing about inclusive education a reality to 800 or 80% of the rural populations living in our country. So with this, I think I wish all of you a very happy Teachers' Day, and realizing the importance which we have, important role which we have in our own limited and respective capacity. Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Guite, for bringing out the issues related to inequitable distribution of resources, and especially comparing the rural to urban, and very well thought about for the differentially abled children and what needs to be done in the schools. And as you rightly pointed out, it all depends on the leadership of the institutions, because bringing in the infrastructure which can help in the children with special needs, and also bringing children from diverse backgrounds. In fact, economic weaker sections, there was a provision that the private schools should admit children from poor families. Not necessarily all the schools are following that, but then you can see that the provision is there, but then it all depends on the head of the institution how inclusive they are. I think these are very important issues which needs separate, discussion and the way forward. Many of the points which have today been discussed with all the teachers and also shared by children, these are areas which needs lot of work. Like one school managed by one teacher, you can imagine the kind of education which children get, and those children are then now in competition with children with the best of schools, with the best of schools compared to any part of the world. So when it comes for higher education, when it comes for jobs, when it comes to any competitive examination or getting any kind of employment, all these children have to run in the same race. So we really need to understand the diversity, especially the digital divide, and more so the resources which they lack, given that the place and the position they are coming from. So realizing these differences and these limitations and less of resources, that the teachers, the moment they understand these issues, they're more sensitive to the children, and they can really bring out the best out of the child. So it's been a wonderful panel, and so many issues which came up. And I just wanted to also share that we are planning to bring a digital magazine called Childhood Matters, and that is also to bring out these issues much more in the forefront, where you can put your ideas, put your thoughts, any article or poem or anything which you are interested in sharing with the larger audiences. So this digital magazine is going to be launched within a month. We are just designing, and I would request all of you to share whatever you want to write, whether students, whether children or teachers, everybody can write in this magazine. This is very participatory kind of magazine we are starting, and already a lot of you have contributed. Mumuksh, Aradhya, they've all contributed their articles and also their paintings. So this is one medium which we thought, if we can sensitize more people, we'll bring up issues related to parenting, related to encouraging children in different spheres, and also from the perspective of teachers, students, and also calling these specialists or experts, say psychologists, counselors, and having a column by celebrities. So every one of us have gone through childhood, and what we have learned, what we like, what we dislike, everything should be brought out so that the childhood becomes a happy state. And that's where this digital magazine is going to bring in a lot of issues. And I would like to have any comments or any suggestions from the audiences or even from the panelists. I think we can go on for another 10 minutes. What do you say, Dr. Reddy?
Yeah, you're most welcome, ma'am. It's such a diversified meeting.
Thank you so
And-
much.
Go
Would you
ahead.
like to say a few words? And anybody else who is interested in sharing their thoughts, and then we'll close the panel discussion.
Sunita ma'am, I would like to share this whole month we are dedicating something called Teachers Empowerment Month, and a series of free workshops that we are planning on different themes. So self-care for teachers through breathing and the visual thinking in education. So we have taken the multiple intelligence area and we have been doing a lot of practical workshops with the teacher. Creative moment education, then digital empowerment skills for the teachers. So like series of workshops. I'll share that information with you.
Sure,
and,
sure.
We can be connected.
Definitely. Any of you also want to connect to IMA, can directly connect, and I'll share the number.
So this week we have art of integrating puppetry and storytelling in education and self-care for the teachers. Next week we are looking at design thinking and visual thinking in education. So like that creative movement. So we have series of workshops like this. So and the teachers commune, it's a virtual WhatsApp group only. How effectively, if you ask me 2020 March, I don't know what is Zoom. I don't know anything, zero. So we have kind of explored a lot to help many teacher communities. We put around 40 hours module, how to do interactive teaching. How in the Zoom itself, how can we do at least like 10 to 15 different types of, interactive methodology of connecting. So like the whole area we work is like passive to active. Yeah. So how we can connect the children and teachers together. So we have done that kind of workshops also. So any of you are interested. So the idea here is I don't look at teachers only like qualifications. We also work with not even people gone for colleges, 9th, 10th failed people, but they are the teachers available in rural areas. So I personally guided and mentored more than 3,000 teachers in the last 7-8 years. So I know the pain point, what many of the women after they kind of get married, they don't know, what to do, especially in the rural area. And if they are very passionate, they can do something. They take the first option is a safe zone is teaching profession. And the senior teachers like Kavita here, Rose here, and if you all feel like, you like to mentor even ordinary women to make them better teachers, let's be connected. I'll be loving to take it forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary, for those courses which you are planning to do. And in fact, you rightly pointed out, for a while, we never knew about Zoom, and this disaster brought this particular platform where we can connect sitting in our homes as if we are sitting across the table. So we do see opportunities even in disasters, and that's how the world is connected now through media and through network and through this digital platform. So learning will never stop for teachers and for students. So every day we learn, and we learn our students also, and that's how we become much better teachers. I'm really thankful to all those who have joined us today. Professor Gregory is also there, and I could see Dr. Suresh Sharma. If you would like to say a few words, it will be very encouraging. Professor Gregory is an anthropologist, teaches in Kerala. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita Reddy, and all other panelists. In fact, I could join only towards the end of the discussion. I missed the large part of the discussion. In fact, this is a very innovative session which you have organized on this Teachers' Day. And what I could observe is that the importance of value education is about the inclusive education and gender equity, etc. It's very wonderful experience. I'm sure all the persons would have really enjoyed the discussion. I wish that this type of, when we impart education, apart from the skill development and knowledge, imparting knowledge, dissemination, value education counts a lot. And as Dr. Imma was pointing out, In fact, this COVID pandemic was, in fact, brought about a silent revolution in bringing, I mean, in developing the digital knowledge. You know, as we could not have imagined that the entire population, starting from the urban to rural, all have got exposed to this digital media, and probably it brought down the digital divide to a large extent. And this we have learned new types of new methods of interacting with the students, teacher-student relations, etc. And this, I think, we have learned something new, which we need to develop and try to make use of this technology for greater interaction. I think I appreciate the initiative taken by Dr. Sunita Reddy and others, and I congratulate them on this occasion. So wish you all the best and happy Teachers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Gregory, for your wonderful words. And really, you are very encouraging. And he is also General Secretary for United Indian Anthropological Forum. It's a big organization of anthropologists, and we are all working together there. So thank you so much, Dr. Suresh Sharma. You there?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Sunita Reddy, and I'm happy to organizing this very interesting topic on education on the occasion of Happy Teachers Day. And I have learned all the speakers, and I enjoy because they share their own experience. So I learn a lot, and I wish you this kind of event you can organize in the future also, so then we can benefit it, because this is not our area in education. As you know, I am a demographer, health expert, but I know during this pandemic, this health services is affected, like immunization, institution delivery, and the contraception and everything. But this is today I have learned this panelist, I have learned a lot, So thank you very much, and congratulate you this kind of event. Thank you, Sunita.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma, for those wonderful words. In fact, we thought it's good to, sometimes speak about issues which touch on everyday basis. Academic work, of course, we keep doing, but then these are the topics which are connecting to us. We have to work really together. That's how this panel was brought together. And I'm so glad. One second.
It comes from Professor Gregory, because he's in Kerala now, I think. Is he speaking from Kerala? Gregory.
Yes, Dr. Gregory is
from Kerala.
Which part of Kerala, sir? This show is being beamed live from God's own country, Pala, Kottayam district.
Oh.
I am son-in-law of Kerala.
Really? Oh, really? I too. Son-in-law.
The neighbors, you're very close to each other.
You're in Kottayam, because before we say bye, on behalf of Sunita Reddy itself, there is some suggestion to be made on behalf of Anthropos India Foundation to Mrs. Imi, who wants to come up with some sort of technological interventions so that the society can be benefited. I can suggest you that we have the second channel, Citizens-DRTSPR channel. If the timings suit, I'll speak to Dr. Sunita Reddy, because we were in the afternoon also we were talking a lot as to how we move forward. So under the aegis of Anthropos Foundation, India Foundation also, if you can co-join your efforts, I am ready to stream it live on Dr. TSPR channel. That will be Citizens-DRTSPR channel, because we have three: Dr. TSPR channel, Citizens-DRTSPR channel, and then Environment People. Because Environment People, come November 1st in Ireland, it's a big occasion again for the world to meet in Ireland. So that will be invariably busy. I can only re-telecast on that, but surely on Citizens. What time you are planning to host your shows, Ms. Ignis?
So we have made a calendar for the whole month, actually.
How frequently it will be? Will it be once in a week, twice in a week, or daily?
Twice in a week we are just planning actually these workshops.
What time you are planning to start?
It will be between 4:30 to 6 in the evening.
Yeah, I think by that time Dr. Sunita Reddy also should be free, I feel, from our academic moorings, because we were contemplating that will be something good, because wherein we can have a continuity going. And I am ready to host you on Citizens-DRTSPR channel, all the shows, and you just co-join your efforts with Dr. Sunita Reddy Garu, so that she will translate it into a work mode, and we will generate a link and give you, so that people widely can connect. Now I am telling you very clearly, this is the mode of, what should I say, the telecast or reaching people, dissemination of information, which is going to stay. Having revolutionized the technology, electronic media, what you are watching, then the likes of so many channels here in Kerala, they were just reporters when we just masterminded the electronic media revolution, which you are witnessing now. This is the new technology with which we are connecting the world and beaming it live, and this is going to survive. And this will be the technology of the future. So, what a better way than getting all those rural connects and all those marginalized who cannot afford, through your practical interventions. I think they also will understand the technology, and that will really help the education sector. I'm ready. You can just talk to Dr. Sunita Reddy Garu, and then you can get back to me. Daily we can prepare a poster and link also.
Thank you so much. And this is where I feel the power of collaboration, right? Not all of us are expert with everything.
Yes.
Yesterday I felt so good for Dr. Sunita Reddy taking that leadership of connecting all of us, and see the connections are growing. So that's the beauty of, and also I felt this technology, thanks to one side like COVID, which we would not have explored these things, connecting beyond the borders, beyond the barriers, sitting in one space wherever we are, saving lot of money, saving lot of time to travel, saving lot of risk in the COVID situation. So I truly appreciate Dr. Sunita Reddy for bringing all of us together for this common.
It's a huge task. It's a huge task. Very, very, very well.
It's a good start on a very auspicious day, and thank you so much, Dr. Reddy, for giving this opportunity. I'm sure we all will work together, and there are other plans with all other colleagues from different places, that we come up with very many activities, programs, and reach out to wider audience. And I'm glad this panel though was more skewed, were more of women, but then I could see a lot of dads and granddads join this show, including my dad and Rena's granddad and Aradhya's granddad. So we're all connected, and thank you so much. And Kushi and Ayush's dad is also there, who works with our foundation. And really thank you, and thanks for encouraging words. We'll soon get back with more issues, more ideas to put together on a digital platform, both in the digital magazine and also through this channel of Dr. Reddy. Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy, and have a good days ahead, and keep safe.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care. Once again, Teachers' Day greetings to one and all. This is for today. Take care. For all those in India, Sukha Nidra, Shubha Ratri. World across, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Bye. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.